we were like, should we get a retail trader on the show? Avi was like, yes, no brainer, Ansem.
I view you as like the William Wallace of retail. I would tell you about it. It's like he's very much so not retail, but the leader of retail. I try to help him out, bro. I try to help him out.
The quarterback of retail.
Yeah.
Do you ever wear Jalen Hurts style eye paint when you show up to trading?
Bro, you know what I should do? I should do streams and come out like I'm a football player in like full costume. I need like a manly costume, bro. Like stream.
Yeah, just show up to a Solana hackathon with that like the super turbo.
Yeah. Warlord gear. No, I need that. That's.
Welcome back to a very special episode of 1000X. We have a wonderful new guest. We got Ansem on, who's going to be bullshitting around with us for the next hour or so as we try to unpack what's happening in the market. Just for a timestamp, it is 1:53 p.m., Tuesday, November 21st, and we're about an hour out from the announcement where Janet Yellen is going to talk about how she took down CZ. So
headlines are just slapping the tape right now. Markets whipsawing around, BNB up and down 10%. We don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. We could break it down into scenarios. Like if she says X, then Y happens. Ansem, how are you trading this?
Honestly, I'm expecting like Bitcoin to hold strong here. That's what I've been looking at. I think alts kind of had their little run. They've done like 2-3x. I think all BGC pairs are kind of topping, but Bitcoin has been strong. And I think if this regulatory news, basically, if it's just a fine and Binance can keep like operating as they were prior to, I think we're fine. I think we just keep going up. We might like chop around a bit in the like 33 to 37 area, but I'm expecting Bitcoin to break out before end of the year. I also have Coinbase. I have a ton of Coinbase. So like all scenarios are bullish Coinbase.
Yeah, I think you tweeted this out, but like basically everything at this point sends Coinbase to infinity.
Yeah.
Like no matter what the outcome is, unless they come out and they say every single exchange that has ever operated, we're going to come after you next. I guess that's the one scenario, but in that case, I mean, might as well just pack up, right? We'll all go back to trading pink slips or something.
We war gamed this a little bit at my old place. We were chatting about this a bit before the podcast. There's sort of three scenarios, right? Scenario one is like CZ and handcuffs, like international manhunt, bunch of crazy OFAC, AML violations. Scenario two is just limbo. We've been in scenario two for I don't know how long. It feels like years, but probably just months. We're all getting a little tired of it. And then scenario three is this, where there's a manageable slap on the wrist and the thing just sends after a while because, Binance, CZ pay their fine and, Binance is still dominating the marketplace after that. So I don't know. I agree with you, Ansem. I think you're right. I think this thing just keeps chopping, but with an upwards trend. But I wanted to ask you, against the backdrop of what you just said, how long have you, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in crypto? Have you seen any scenarios similar to this during your history trading, previous exchanges under fire? Well, how are you referencing this versus the earlier parts of your career in crypto?
Yeah, I've been in crypto since like 2017. Basically I was a software engineer before, but it was just trading crypto on the side. I was basically doing both like at the same time, doing full-time crypto in like 2021, like mid 2021. So I've seen like I guess one full cycle, and then I came in like midway through 2017. So I was like, I guess half was when I didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, I think it's similar to like the BitMEX lawsuit, which was in 2020. And that, I believe it was like Q4 2020. I referenced it earlier this year when the lawsuit against Binance came out. I was like, yo, last time they did this, it was like Pico bottom. We just ripped it from like when that news dropped. I think it's kind of similar. It's like most of these things, if they don't shut down the exchange entirely, it's like that's the peak fear when the lawsuit and everything comes out. And it's like it kind of gets priced in from there. Like crypto is supposed to operate in a way such that it doesn't get shut down by one exchange going under, or one exchange not being in control of everything. Bitcoin is like on its own, its own thing entirely. And we kind of see that in the reaction to these markets when people are just like, no, fuck you, we're not selling our crypto because the government's coming after us. But yeah, I think earlier this year is like when we bottomed around 25K, that was the initial lawsuit announcement, and now we're at 37K, and we're kind of like coming to the end of it. So it seems like we're kind of getting all the bad news out of the way, with BlackRock on kind of the side of we're going to be pushing for all these ETFs next year. It seems like we're in like the final stage of the worst part of the regulatory stuff to me.
This kind of came at a time where I was already thinking about reducing exposure a ton. So this actually makes it way harder for me. I mean, you're the biggest soul bull I know, but it definitely looks the weakest that it's looked in a very long time here. Like all the spot bid, all the VCs that were chasing it, that didn't want to buy at 19, they didn't want to buy at 25, they all bought at like 45, 50, and they got their little pop to 60, and now there just doesn't seem to be a spot bid in the market for this thing anymore. And so the whole that dragged up, I think, honestly, everything in a sense. And obviously you had the BTC run as well. But now I'm thinking that it's back to BTCD. I think people had their fun with alts, and what I'm kind of looking for is maybe we chop down to 34, 33, and then you just rotate right back into alts, and you can allocate to all your small caps again. But right now it looks kind of tough to be long if you're just based on the charts. Then the flip side of the argument is that Binance removes everything that you're worried about. Then you just have the ETF, then you have the ETH ETF, then probably a Solana ETF after that.
Yeah.
So it's one of the weirdest spots I think we've been in the last 2 months. I mean, the last 2 months were just so straightforward.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. It's rip everything. No, I agree though. I think alts are like near top, like all BTC pairs for sure. I definitely can see a scenario where it's like we get a Bitcoin breakout and alts pull back, and everybody's like, whoa, I don't have enough Bitcoin. And then we get to, I don't know, like mid 40s maybe. And then like when we pull back from there, that's when alts start having their fun again, when Bitcoin's chopping around higher. Because I feel like people are just ignoring Bitcoin. It's really not that far off the highs.
BTCD is on the highs, right? I mean, in one sense, it's not being ignored.
It pulled back a bit, I know.
Yeah, you're right.
It wasn't like 54 with the like 52. Now it's kind of popping again.
Yeah, BTCD flipped 52% into support.
I know. It's fucking chart, dude. Yeah, I know.
That actually, like, I don't know how I feel about charting this, but that is a clean chart. That is like, look, I mean, if I were to draw a line there, that would be a sexy line.
Nah, I'm looking at it too. I'm with you.
So, okay. So can you walk us through, do you think of Solana as an alt? Is Solana an altcoin?
Yeah, so definitely an alt. I think like this cycle will submit it as third. That's how I'm kind of looking at it. I think this cycle, the focus for ETH is they're kind of pivoting to the modular thesis. And in that thesis, I just am not sure how the value gets distributed across the entire stack, because there's like 10 different L2s. All of them are going to have tokens. Some of them are going to be doing off-chain DA versus using ETH for DA. Some of them may use Celestia for DA. Some of them may use Near for DA, or like Eigen DA. It's looking like ETH is going to be more of a settlement layer, and that transition from everything happening on Ethereum to Ethereum being more of a settlement layer, and then the execution happening on other blockchains is just, I'm not clear on how the value accrues across the stack. But I think it's pretty clear that Solana is on the complete opposite of that thesis. So it's like the integrated L1, do everything on the L1. You don't need to scale via L2s yet. And it's like the monolithic opposite of Ethereum. So you have the settlement layer, then you have Bitcoin, and then you have one integrated L1. And I think they're like by far in the lead against the other L1s right now, just because of everything that they've gone through and how strong the community is. Like developer community and the teams there now are like much stronger than they were a couple years ago. So I think they'll be like a solid 3.
So you're an engineer, you said. Can you tell us why so many engineers just love Solana? Like, is it an amazing engineering experience versus EVM? So something computer sciencey that us like finance guys can't understand. Help me get it.
I think they're more practical on the scaling arguments like of Ethereum versus Solana. Solana guys are not as focused on the fully decentralized, like everybody can run a node, everybody needs to be able to validate the chain. The Solana guys are like, no, if you're gonna make a like globally decentralized system that can operate on like at the same speed as what NASDAQ, you're gonna need some high powered machines that are the nodes operating this network. And then they kind of focus on that as like the practical way of how this is going to work long term. There's no really way of getting around there. Like, it doesn't really make sense to do it any other way. And I think, like, I don't know about the Rust versus like Solidity, how many engineers like prefer that. I know everybody in crypto is like very cool, like very secure with the EVM, and I think that's why a lot of the crypto guys are so big on Ethereum, and even the L2s who focus on the EVM. But Solana attracts a lot of developer talent that don't really have that experience in crypto already. So there's a ton of Rust engineers outside of crypto, don't know anything about crypto, but they know Rust and know how to like program in Rust. Also, Solana actually gets a lot of that attention as well. But I like was a developer, but I have not been a developer in crypto. I'm not going to claim to be like I've built things on ETH, built things on Solana. I don't have that frame of reference.
I think ETH just benefited in the last run from the majority of people that were getting in that were getting into crypto, or like actually just general retail. You didn't get as many builders that were coming in my opinion, as you actually got on the tail end of the cycle. So on the tail end of the cycle is when people, okay, I made money, I quit my job, so like I can start coming in, I can start developing. And so I think what you just saw, especially in 2021, is across the board. You also just saw a lot of the people that were coming in were just building copycats. They were building all these useless applications, just a bunch of casinos. And now I think we're finally getting away from that in some capacity, which has made me pretty bullish on just like individual assets now. So there are a bunch of things that I look at that I couldn't really do this in 2019 and 2020. Just stuff that I wanted to buy that I would feel comfortable holding for a year and just not thinking about it. Other than BTC and ETH. BTC and ETH were kind of it, and then everything else was just a straight rotation trade. And now I feel like there's stuff that I'm willing to hold for a long time. So for example, I played Prime. It's a dope game. Like,
right?
It's actually like pretty good. It's like, okay, yeah. this is good. Like, this is usable. I mean, like, fine. You know, it's valued high, but I think, you know, I can hold that for the next 6 months and feel pretty confident there. But anyway, I mean, I just think that there's actually a ton of really good stuff out there. And I know you keep tweeting about the cycle bags. Just like, yo, they're cycle bags. You just buy these, you hold on to them, you forget about it. Yeah. Just ride it. What are your cycle bags? Show us so that we could buy them for you.
Oh man, what are my cycle bags? Yeah. Well, you just called one out, dude. But yeah, my mains are like this cycle. I think Coinbase I like a lot. I think they're in a really good position with like the spot ETFs coming. They're going to be basically the custodian for all of those, and then also them expanding like internationally with their perps and Coinbase Cloud, like for staking. They're like working with a ton of other chains outside of just Ethereum too. And I think they've actually pivoted really well to be more like crypto-centric, crypto-native with how they're operating. I know Coinbase got a lot of flack the past few years for kind of not being in touch with what crypto people were looking for. And I think in the past few months, they've done a really a really good job of that. I think the base L2 is also super, super strong from a like retail onboarding perspective because they have so many KYC people on Coinbase. If they're able to get them onto actual like on chain, we have like 100 million people on the Coinbase like centralized exchange, but on chain it's like me, Avi, like everybody on Twitter. Like it's just like it's just like us. We need to like get retail onto on chain still. We haven't really accomplished that yet in crypto. And I think Base is one of the best chances of doing that. So I like Coinbase. I love Solana, as you guys know, for many reasons. I don't really need to go into detail there. I feel like Parallel is actually one of my, I didn't expect it to be like a long-term play, but I started looking more into it. And the game is actually like really complex and fleshed out. Like as a trading card game, there's layers to it. Like you have to play it for a while to get good at it and really understand like how to be good at the game, which I think is really dope. And you've seen them kind of pierce into the Web 2 segment of gaming, like people who play, what's the other card game? Is it Magic? Magic the Gathering, I think is the other one. Yeah, so you have people who play that and they like like Parallel. And then once you tap that market of gamers who don't care about crypto, but the game is good enough for them to play it, and you have an option to onboard them without needing to buy an NFT or like whatever, know what crypto is. And then you have the crypto native people who also are going to be the first ones using all these applications. Prime is at a really cool intersection there where they can tap multiple different markets. And then like I said the other day, I was like, this cycle is the one where we're going to see a lot more actual strong businesses come out other than just these exchanges which print money off fees. Because a game that people really enjoy and are willing to spend money in game to like be better than other people and like upgrade through the ranks, that's going to be a successful business if they can onboard a good amount of consumers that are willing to spend regardless of the market's up or down. So I think you're going to see some businesses emerge this cycle, and that could be one of them. So I like Prime a lot.
Just looking at Parallel Alpha here, just on OpenSea, looking at these trading cards. I mean, some of them are worthless. Some of them are trading for like 1 or 2 ETH. It looks kind of like Magic. Is that what the experience is like? Magic the Gathering? But because I always thought of Magic as this amazing game, but like the exchange for cards is super shitty, and you deal with these middlemen, and they take you out. Here it's just
Wait, back up. Jonah, how do you know anything about Magic?
How do you know anything about Magic? Like it came out during my high school years, right?
Like, did you actually play this game?
Yeah, of course.
Did you play Magic? You played Magic.
Yeah, I mean not like a lot. Like I'm
That's
not,
funny.
Not an expert.
Seems like a reasonable amount.
It's an IRL game.
You ever played any tournaments?
No, I didn't make it that far. It was more just like with kids that I knew from school.
Oh man, I did not peg you for Magic the Gathering guy.
So is that what this is like? Parallel is like a crypto, where the cards are NFTs and you play the game and the cards like enable you in the same way that they would enable you in Magic, kind of thing.
Yeah, so there's like 4 different. I want to say there's 4 factions. Let me not mess it up. I think there's 4 different factions. And each faction has their own like special abilities. Your deck of cards, I want to say it's 20 cards. You get a deck of cards, and then you play against somebody else, and each card has its own like attack, defense, whatever special like ability, and you try and basically just take the other person's health points down to 0 before they kill you. I played like Yu-Gi-Oh, so that's my comparison. I played Yu-Gi-Oh when I was younger. It's my closest comparison for me. But they also have other games outside of just the trading card game. So that's the first one, and then they plan on making other games also. Their newest one that they're working on is like an AI first person based on the Parallel avatars, and basically your AI does like goes out on quests and stuff, and you update your character as it goes. So that's their next game coming out. But it's gonna be a whole like franchise of things.
This is bananas. I just ran the numbers on OpenSea after you brought it up. I mean, we're looking at $161 million worth of volume that's printed on just these trading cards since the project kicked off. Like there's real stuff happening here kind of under our noses. And, part of why we wanted to have you on so badly was because, you're paying attention to it. Like for me, I'm just too fucking old. Obviously too busy slinging institutional volume and the tokens that can handle it. Like we need people who are in the weeds looking at interesting stuff. Thank you for telling me about this. I'm like, try to buy some cards.
Yeah, man. So you can start playing it. I can get you the betas. You can get access to the beta. The open beta comes at the end of the year, but I can get you access.
Cool. Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean the trenches have been so profitable. I mean, not that I can like play them in any size, because it's just it's not really my game. But as an outside observer who pays attention to the people that pay attention to the trenches, I mean, it's kind of nuts. Just all the on chain stuff that's been popping off left and right. It's a lot of money to be made.
We've had some, polished billionaires on the show who come from like interest rate trading. We've talked to, Anatoly from Solana, who's a dev and super genius. We haven't talked to any people like retail type people in the trenches. So how did you can you tell us what it is that attracted you to crypto, and then tell us like how you managed to survive these cycles and develop your process without a formal trading background? How did you do it?
So I went to Georgia Tech. I studied computer science there. And my minor was in business. So one of my classes for my minor was this emerging technologies class. And my professor was a huge Bitcoin guy. He was like, I was one of the focuses in that class was Bitcoin. So that's when I first learned about Bitcoin. I've always kind of been at the intersection of like finance and tech. So I minored in business. My major was CS. So I've kind of always been like in that area. And then when I graduated in 2017, I had a mentor at the job I was working at, and he was a huge crypto guy. And he was like, dude, I'm like making a ton of money trading on like Bittrex, BitMEX, like all these sites. He starts telling me about altcoins. And I was like, okay, let me look into this and figure this out and start learning how to do this. That's when I started trading. 2017. I mean, I've always been on Twitter. So like but I've always been on Twitter as just like been online. So I've been online forever. Like I was Tumblr guy, played like World of Warcraft, played League of Legends, always been on the internet. So I was active on Twitter before I even knew about crypto. And when I started looking into crypto, I was like, well, let me figure out on Twitter who the crypto people are. And that's when I started figuring, like found Kobe, found like TraderMain, like Loomdart, all those guys. And when I was learning how to trade in 2017, I started posting charts like everybody else was posting charts. I didn't have any followers, but I posted a ton of charts when I was learning TA from those guys. And they're talking about like how cycles work, how altcoins versus Bitcoin work, how like money flows down the ecosystems and all that. And I saw it in 2017. Didn't trade the cycle well at all. I was like all in alts when Bitcoin was ripping, just like was down a ton against Bitcoin. It didn't do a great job of selling the top either. But I saw the cycle and like knew what it looked like and how to play it when it came back again the second time. So in 2020, when DeFi summer happened and started popping off, I was actually playing poker with a lot of crypto people and wasn't really that active in markets. But then people were like, yo, started talking about shit coins on Uniswap. I was like, okay, let me figure out what this is and get back into this. Because actually my boy Jeremy, we made like a group chat on Telegram. That's when everybody was just like trading against each other, trading micro caps on Uniswap. And we like went from poker straight into like trading on Uniswap. It was funny.
You didn't leave the market, right? Like you were in it. You had your finger on the pulse the whole time. You didn't like take a breather in 2019 and look at other stuff, right?
No, I took a breather. I was like more focused on my actual day job in like 2019. I traded 2018, 2019. Actually had my daughter was born late 2019. So that was also right around when COVID happened. So that whole time period, I was like not looking at markets. And then the COVID crash happened. Well, actually what happened was I remember BitLord was on Twitter talking about COVID in China. And I'd been in China and he's walking around Shanghai or wherever he was in Beijing, Shanghai, I think it was Shanghai or Beijing. And there's nobody on the streets. So I was like, that is completely wrong for China because I've been there and I know what those streets look like. So something is up. And I started looking at markets, US markets. And in my head, I'm like, as soon as COVID gets to New York, we're like, we're fucked. Because the distance between everybody on the subway is like, we're face to face. I'm like, if it spreads that fast, people are like, it doubles every day. I'm like, as soon as the first case gets into New York, it's like it's wraps for here, and people were not really worried about it. So I was short Boeing. I like bought puts on Boeing, thinking like, okay, well, whenever people do figure out this is like an actual thing, airlines are gonna get crushed. So I was short Boeing, and I was short like right before that crazy crash happened in March. I printed pretty well on that, but I closed it too early. I didn't expect it to go like minus 70% in a couple weeks. But yeah, after that, I started like paying attention more to the market. I was like, okay, everything crashed. We're playing poker with crypto people. Then people start talking about DeFi summer. Everything ripped. I look at the Aave chart. I'm like, how the fuck did I miss this 100x? And then I saw Bitcoin was trading at 10K. So I'm like, well, Bitcoin is 100% at least going back to all-time high. I know that for a fact. I'm trying to tell everybody like, yo, Bitcoin's going to rip soon because all these alts have done all these multiples and Bitcoin hasn't moved yet. So that money's going to start flowing down into Bitcoin. And they didn't even know what Bitcoin was. They're like, dude, what is Bitcoin? We know Ethereum and we know Uniswap. We don't care about Bitcoin because their intro to crypto was just trading on Uniswap. So that's how I got like active again that cycle. Bitcoin was like my first big trade, and I was like, okay, what else should I look at? Gas fees spiking on Ethereum. Then I started looking at Solana. Like that was probably my best trade that cycle. But I just had that like framework for how to rotate capital between Bitcoin, altcoins. That I knew a little bit of TA. And it's always been easy for me to pick up new stuff. Just like so, trading was really not hard for me to pick up. But
that was one of the weirdest periods, I think, when people were getting into crypto through Uniswap and ETH, and they weren't touching, because I remember, I mean, back in 2016, 2017, everybody's first stop was Bitcoin. So I was kind of used to the opposite happening, right? Where you get the wealth effect from BTC into alts. And that was sort of the mentality. And then people just started onboarding because of all these crazy yields that existed in DeFi. I'm like, whoa, I can make 100%. I can make 1,000%. I can, just literally 5x my money in a month if I go into DeFi first, and people are just going straight to aping, small caps on Uniswap. So that was a wild period, but it just shows you how much the crypto market changes, honestly, in a year, but also how much it, like the same things will happen over again. You just have to pattern match sort of differently. It's like when your teacher gave you like a problem set, and then the test was a different version of that problem set. You just have to figure out how to like superimpose it onto the new problem.
Ansem was saying that the money back then was in the DeFi summer was trickling from alts into Bitcoin. Why is it that this cycle it should be the opposite and money will trickle from Bitcoin into alts?
I mean, I don't think it was directly just like altcoins into Bitcoin. I think there was also a ton of TradFi flows that were like that pushed Bitcoin up that around that time period. But just generally, the people who are really good at trading crypto cycles, their core base is always Bitcoin, and some of them now it's Bitcoin and ETH. So it's like if you have these people, the people who are buying altcoins when they're like floored minus 90%, usually know what they're doing, and they're going to protect their gains by going back into Bitcoin. So whenever those people print off alts, they're like, oh, let me take profit into Bitcoin, take profit into ETH. So I think you have the crypto natives who a lot of times are on the same size as these funds, and they just know what they're doing. So they control a lot of like how the market flows happens. That's generally why. I don't think it's directly like Bitcoin, alts, Bitcoin. I think this cycle, there's a lot of, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think there's going to be a lot of institutional focus on Bitcoin just because of how the spot ETF is coming. And like Fink, his connections with people in finance are massive. So in my head, I'm like, okay, Bitcoin's going to be the first thing that all these people who are like, have gold allocations, have stock allocations, whatever, have real estate, like, oh, let me get 1-2% of Bitcoin. Let me add that to my portfolio now that BlackRock is stamping it as safe for people. So that's what I'm thinking there is going to happen. And then that also legitimizes the crypto space further across the board. So Bitcoin is stamped, then ETH is next. And it's like, okay, what are people building in crypto that makes sense outside of traditional like tech and finance? And once that happens, that's when like the massive everybody's like, oh, okay, crypto is cool. Like crypto is here to stay. I think this is that cycle where that happens. People argued it was last cycle. I think you could make the argument, but just because of how new DeFi and everything was, I think it's a lot easier to make that argument this cycle once it's been through the ringer and like survived. That's how I'm thinking about it.
So in your poker circles, in the retail community, that you are clearly what we like. Just look at your Twitter.
I think like a leader in the I view you as like the William Wallace of retail. You're like you
elite Eddie Jen, bro.
Love your Twitter. But we were like, should we get a retail trader on the show? Avi was like, yes, no brainer.
I would clarify about it. It's like he's very much so not retail, but the leader of retail.
I try to help him out, bro. I try to help him out.
The quarterback of retail.
Yeah.
Do you ever wear Jalen Hurts style eye paint when you show up to your training session?
Bro, you know what I should do? I should do streams and come out like I'm a football player, like full costume. I need like a manly costume, bro. Like stream.
Yeah, just show up during a Solana hackathon with that like the super turbo.
Yeah. Warlord gear. No, I need that. That's it.
Amongst the circles that you lead, sorry, not run in, that you lead, what's the mood like? Can you give us a sense of what just people who are passionate about crypto and this market and this technology, what they're saying after they've just been beaten up throughout 2022?
Well, I think there's two main groups. You have the developers and the builders. I'm closest with the Solana community of builders, not as much with the ETH guys, but know some of them too. And even when I was at Breakpoint in 2022, they're super excited about the future of crypto and everything that they're building, from like DeFi stuff, consumer stuff, like decentralized physical infrastructure stuff, everything across the board. They're just super excited about the future and what they're building. And that energy that I felt there in Breakpoint made it a lot easier to be bullish on Solana this year, even when the entire time I was like, dude, you're a fucking idiot. What are you talking about? Like, I've talked to these people. I understand this tech, like the advantages it has versus ETH and other chains. This thing is going to turn around eventually. So that was like it made that easier for me to make that bet, having those relationships with them and talking to them. And then on the other side, it's like the retail degenerates. It's like everybody is trying to 100x whatever they have, whatever like spare funds that they have. It's like that everybody's trying to 100x. You have like right now, I've talked about it a little bit on Twitter, but you have a ton of people who are working their day job, but they're not making enough like substantially to be able to afford like a really nice house or anything like in a short amount of time. They're going to be working. They know if they like calculate how much I'm saving year over year, I'm probably going to be working whatever for a long ass time. They see crypto and they're like, okay, I can shave a few years off the back of that by making some extra money in markets. And so everybody's like, Ansem, what should I buy? What should I buy? Like, what are we looking at this cycle? Like, how do I, whatever, 10x? So I get a ton of questions like that. It's just like the energy of people in markets, they see kind of a way to get some extra cash, honestly. And like a lot of people, the retail trading side of crypto is focused on that. And then you have the builders who are more focused on, dude, no, we're building real things here for the future of finance, future of tech. It's like it's a dichotomy there.
It's nice to hear it from you. I mean, we've had this thesis sitting in our like financialized ivory tower here, Avi and I have, where, about why it is that there is an interesting casino type element to crypto. But it's, you bring up a really good point. The just life in America and in many, many other places has kind of gotten away from, normal people, and that's not fair, right? So you have to invest well in order to achieve financial outcomes that are, used to be part of the like standard package that you get just working a government job. Like my mom worked for the Postal Service and bought a house in the hills in California, like on a government salary. That's not happening anymore. So you know, so in terms of crypto, like I see the appeal, and it is cool that people can get out there and actually trade some tech that has a future. But obviously, there's a lot of risk involved. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough to navigate, isn't it?
I see a lot of comparisons. Well, I wasn't around in early 2000s, but from looking at it, it seems similar to me, that like .com era where a ton of companies like popped out and they were the giants of these past 2 decades. But there also were a ton of companies that went to zero. It's like all the altcoins that we've had since 2013. If you look at the top 100 in 2013, like 90 of those coins are not even around now. You go to 2015, you do it again, it's like most of them are not even around. You go to 2017, you do it again, it's like some of them are still here. But that's like the risk of like you said, trading crypto. It's like some of this stuff is going to fail. I don't think that's necessarily bad, but it's also why when you are right on certain things is where you can hit 100x, because the market is still small enough that these big guys can't just shove size into it. So you're kind of front running all of those guys. That's the way I look at it. It's kind of similar to like that .com era, this crypto explosion.
And that's, I think, why you see so much community in crypto. Because if anybody that knows crypto, like seriously knows that you have to pay attention to make money. Like it's actually kind of tough, especially if you're playing the gambling game, right? If you're playing the small cap game, you know that you have to look at that position every week at least.
Yeah, if you're playing on chain, dude.
Yeah, if you're playing on chain, you just have to be looking at it. You can't just not, right? Because at any moment, the founders are going to mint,
right? Yeah.
you're just out of luck. Right?
Yeah, dude.
So
you're right, dude. It's like if you just look at Ethereum and how strong that community is. That's a fucking cult community of ETH people. They've been holding ETH for years. They just never sell it. Like they just literally just like hold a fuck ton of their net worth in Ethereum. And that's why you see these shitcoins pop up. Like who are these guys throwing like 200, 300K at fucking 5 mil, 10 mil market cap coins? It's because people are literally storing all their wealth like on chain. So you have a ton of people like that. It's just like, that's how the cycle.
I got to ask a question about that, because this is a game that I used to play and I used to be in 2020. I was big on I was flipping stuff like base, yams, all this random stuff in 2020. I actually have no idea what's going on chain right now. Like I don't even know how people are finding these small caps. Like I only see them when they're like 15 to 20 mil at this point. But sometimes I see people posting in chats of buying like 500K. How are you do you play this, and how do you find these things?
I play it a little bit. I'm honestly like, I always say I'm second. Like I'm in so many chats, dude. Like people are really sending me stuff launches at 100K, 200K. I'm like, how are you even, like, they track a lot of the new launches and they have lists of like deployers that they know are good. Some deployers are bad, and they run like the rug check on all this stuff. And like, oh, this is safe, lick is locked. Who launched this? Like, what's the guy behind this? They play a lot of the 100K, 200K games. I know a lot of people that do that. So I'm there watching it. What I'm usually at is like, once something is kind of like a little bit of exit velocity, that's when I start paying attention to stuff. I'm like, okay, let me figure out in the 5 mil to 10 mil, what hasn't gone to zero yet. New launches there. That's how I found Unibot early this year. I missed it. I was like, people bought it at like 30K, 40K, 50K market cap. I don't know how in all these chats. But they saw it. It was like, oh, Telegram bot for trading shitcoins. I'm like, Telegram bot for trading shitcoins. That makes a fuck ton of sense. I'm watching you guys do this every day. And I know people are using Maestro, which didn't have a coin associated. I'm like, oh, this is Maestro with a coin. It's one of the easiest theses I've seen. And I was just looking at the like metrics on it and saw how much money they were making off fees, and like user activity was starting to turn up, being consistent. I think I bought it around 5 mil the first time. And then I like started talking about it more like around 20 mil or something like that. And then told people about it closer like 30, 40 or somewhere around there. But I was like, yeah, this makes sense. And this is something that will, if they do well, it won't go to zero. So there's like a few things that pop up like that, the new kind of like free launches. And it's cool because then VCs will pick it up. Like they ended up getting VC investment once they like showed their market fit. And that was a whole like turned into a whole section on like CoinGecko. There was like other people launching trading like Telegram bot coins. All these devs hopped on like, oh, this is the new meta. It's kind of cool how that stuff literally, these metas like they come to fruition in the trenches, and then it's like, then they hit the timeline, and then the VC guys get it, and then it's like, now it's a thing. But a lot of that stuff happens in like with these degens on chain. That's kind of how DeFi summer happened too. Like everybody's like yield farming, and then it turned into a real thing. But as Avi said, it's because people are storing their money in these coins, and like they're really bought into the future of finance being in crypto. So it's like you have people ready to test out all these things. And if you didn't have them, then none of the stuff will be around.
Okay, follow-up question. So we know that people store their wealth in ETH, and then when they feel rich in ETH, they start lifting CryptoPunks and, ERC20 tokens.
Yep.
I guess maybe this is kind of an interesting trade idea that we could chop through here on the podcast. Solana, if it is a token of this next cycle and people are storing their wealth in it, which I think, based on what I've seen on Twitter, it sounds like people are indeed storing a significant percentage of their wealth in Solana. If Solana starts to roof more, or even the roofing that it's done so far, like what sort of trickle down effects are we going to get? Like what are some interesting projects on Solana or NFT things that you think will get picked up by the new Solana rich people?
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen in the same way, dude. I've been saying for a while, people wrote off Solana alts because last cycle they were basically all scams. Like literally, it was like Oxy, Maps. What are some of the other ones? There's a few other ones that were just really, really bad.
Oxy and Maps are wild to me. Actually, one thing that people aren't paying attention to, this is a complete total tangent, and then I want to get back to the point, but Oxy and Maps actually make up something like 800 million of the claims on FTX. So there's a massive Oxy Maps position.
Whoa.
Those tokens are basic. They're worth zero.
They're zero. Yeah.
And so the whole is actually smaller than people expect because of that. Because there's this massive, just like fake amount of money that people are ascribing to the whole. But it was like crazy. I remember when Oxy raised, they were like raising at 400 million back in I think 2021. Maybe it was end of 2020, and the current consensus at the time was just like, yeah, I mean 8-bit because it's on Solana, but I mean it's probably not gonna ever map to much. I mean what's out there that's better now than
So see, I think you're gonna see that wealth effect happen. Like if Solana gets repriced up like over 100, and has like that second cycle that Ethereum had its second time where it rips, you're gonna have these teams on Solana. When they launch tokens, people are going to be aping them same way they're going to be aping NFTs on Solana. What are some of the good teams? I think there are a few really strong teams. The Jito guys I like a lot. So Jito Labs is like an MEV team. They also run validators. So they also have a liquid staking version of Solana, which is like Jito Sol. So they're a combination of like Flashbots and Lido on ETH, but they're on Solana. They don't have a token yet. They're doing like a points program right now. But if they do launch a token, I think that'll probably be one of the strongest ones on Solana. So like Jito, then MarginFi, they're similar to Aave. They're like a lending borrowing protocol. They're doing some pretty cool stuff. Like one of the issues last cycle happened with the risk limits on, I want to say it was Solana. I don't want to throw them under the bus, but there was like a huge position on like one of the big lending borrowing protocols on Solana, and the risk parameters were just not great. So it was like, how did somebody build this position? And it like ended up fucking up a lot of Solana DeFi when they had to like unwind it. So MarginFi guys have been like really like hammering the nail on being safe with like how they operate, how they scale up, how they are building from like ground up. I like them a lot. MarginFi, they're like Aave of like Solana. What other teams are good? Oh, like Jupiter.
Jupiter gets a lot of good reviews. That was the one.
Jupiter is going to be a beast. I think they're like an aggregator, kind of similar to 1inch, but literally everybody on Solana is trading through Jupiter, and the experience, like when everybody starts using it, like, dude, it's so much faster. It's so easy. It's so like fluid to use compared to these dexes on ETH, and that's just because of like the underlying Solana, like the tech infrastructure.
I used Mango back in the day before Solana souped itself up, and I thought it was slick looking and cool. But at the end of the day, you need like real use cases on these chains in order for a DEX aggregator to be relevant. And so, what do you think? Like, are there any exciting games on Solana? Like, what are the sort of big applications that are going to bring in people over from Web 2? They're going to hit Solana, or do you think we're not there yet in the cycle?
No, I think we're there. Which games? Ari is probably the biggest game right now on Solana. But there's a lot of new ones that I think we'll see coming out, like more recent this year. I think what I'm really trying to figure out for Solana, what I think is going to be the best play, is figuring out which depend plays on Solana are going to work. Like if I can hit those really well, that's one application that is like very, very well suited to only be able to do on Solana versus like Ether or other chains because of like how much more efficient it is, how much throughput you can do. Yeah, it's like if you're gonna scale something globally, you need to be doing it like on Sol. So stuff like Helium, like Hive Mapper, like Render is big already. They're like over 1 billion. But applications like those that are like only possible on Solana apps, I think those are going to be the best plays. I just got to figure out which ones I want to hit. I honestly don't have a good list for that yet, but tokens wise.
So much of crypto is just trying to predict what people are going to do next. So it's like where are people, all right? So for example, like 2 months, 3 months, 5 months ago, 6 months ago, whatever. So you can sit there and you go, I know at some point in the future, I'm 100% confident at some point in the future that AI will be talked about by everybody, and therefore you just want to put that AI coins. I don't know when, and I don't know how, and I don't know I don't know what the catalyst is. I just know that at some point people are talking about this, so I'm going to buy it.
Yeah,
right. And that's sometimes when prices are low, when you've I think anytime Bitcoin's below 70% of its all-time highs, that's like kind of your mentality. When you approach the market is, I'm just going to buy certain things because I know at some point people are going to talk about them, whether it's like a real bull market or a fake bull market or an echo bubble or like, I don't care.
Yep.
I know it's good work.
It's like front running. It's front running the attention, dude. It's literally attention. It's like, those are why, like the euphoria peaks happen. Euphoria peaks happen when like there's no other attention left to be spent on this thing. Like if everybody's talking about this thing, everybody's all in, there's nobody left to buy. That's when euphoria is like these peaks happen. If you front run that, that's how you make a lot of money in crypto. But I think what's interesting from the culture side is like NFTs. So you have CryptoPunks on ETH. Actually, what are they at right now?
60 ETH floor, something like that.
Oh yeah, so they're still like over 100K. But I think
they went as low as 40. They're up 50% off the lows.
I see 55.3. It's pretty good.
Yeah, good. I think a good bet to make if you're betting on the future of crypto, if you think Solana is going to be like that third chain to ETH, is trying to figure out what the CryptoPunks equivalent is going to be. So I've been trying to think through that also. I think Mad Lads are like possibly a good candidate there because the team is doing a lot of different things for the Solana ecosystem. Like they have the wallet, the backpack wallet, then they're also building the exchange, and they also have the X NFT infrastructure, which is like executable NFTs that kind of have all these other different features that you can do with them. And Mad Lad is like they're basically their NFT. But I don't know if they're going to be the one or another one. But yeah.
One thing I like about the way that your thought process has been explained over the course of the podcast here is that you don't get too married to stuff. And when shit's about to fall out of bed, like in COVID, you didn't look to crypto to save you. You went and bought some Boeing puts, right? So maybe could you talk a little bit? It's exciting to be like, hey, I think this is going to 10x or this is going to 100x or this crazy ass project with no inherent value is about to go into hype mode. And you can see these casino style tulip price bubbles occurring before they do. But like, how do you risk manage stuff? Like how do you know when you're in peak euphoria and it's time to unload?
I don't have rules around how like big portions of my portfolio, honestly, I trade more off the individual chart, individual coins. Like I did pretty well with Pepe earlier this year. It was probably my best trade this year, but I saw it. It was one of those situations where everybody was piling in short, and you're piling in short on a meme that has no inherent value. It's only people buying and selling. It's literally just retail versus all the other traders in the market. So you have all these traders going short, and it got listed on whatever, I think it was Bybit or wherever it was. I was like, oh, this is definitely gonna squeeze. I already had like I was lucky enough to buy it early. I like bought it on chain, and it was like a popular meme in crypto. The fucking frog is everywhere. I'm like, okay, this makes sense to capture some attention in crypto. Then it got listed. Everybody's shorting it. I'm like, dude, they're gonna get steamrolled trying to go against this thing. But the way I look for tops, TA wise, I think volume is actually really, really good. When the volume spikes are like 2-3x the previous dailies and they're larger than the like total market cap of the coin, you're usually pretty close to a top. Like on SHIB, like when SHIB topped, it was doing something crazy like multiple billions of dollars. When Pepe topped this year, when it got listed on Binance, I think the volume that day was like 2.4 billion. Like his meme was at like it topped at like 1 billion or 1.6.
And you're looking at Pepe versus USDT, right? You're not looking at like pair charts for the volumes. You're looking at the straight up.
Yeah, USD. I mean, I had a position on chain, and I had a long on this shady ass exchange, like the only way I could get long on it. And I was like closing both at the same time. But yeah, I was really on like the low time frame, like 5-minute chart, just trading off TA. But yeah, it's like those volume spikes are usually pretty good indicators. I'm trying to think of what else. I don't know. It's really off TA. Just like once shit starts going parabolic, like they know it's gonna top out soon. Shit's doubling like every other day. Oh,
that's the hardest part, but also the most lucrative part is just staying sober about this stuff. When you look at your Coinbase account, or or your wallet, your on-chain wallet, your MetaMask, whatever, and it's just exploded. It's easy to be like, all right, cool, I'm good. Wait, now we're 3xing from here. It's very hard to stay calm and think like, all right, what's an objective framework that I can ingest now that will help me lock this in and not get too greedy?
Jonah, one rule that's been really helpful is actually to track like emotional response to things. So if I ever find myself, if I've refreshed my portfolio 5 times that day, I got to think about selling.
Yeah, once I'm about to send my boys like a screenshot of my like let me take some off.
It's like without fail, I'm on my exchange. I'm like, oh, what are we at now? How much money did I make today?
Yeah,
I'm serious, but like it's because I think like people are a lot more similar than we give them credit for, and so if
it's all emotions, dude.
A lot of other people are doing that as well, and then at some point people start to wait. They're like, okay, wait a second, it's just nuts. Like this is a lot. I gotta start getting out.
I've been saying this year, like a good portfolio allocation to have. So separate your core portfolio from your degen portfolio. Do like I'll say like 70%, whatever, Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, whatever your highest conviction alts are, put that in that bucket. Don't really try and trade that all that much. Then with the other 30%, do whatever it is on chain, whatever, on perps, on like yield farming, some random new launches. Do that with the smaller portion of your portfolio, and then like redistribute that to your higher conviction bags. Because I think the way you make the most money in crypto is you stay in the trenches and you're most active with all the new rotations that are happening, but you also have your core portfolio that when crypto is, you're just like, as crypto is going back up, you have that, you're already long, like you're consistently long. So even if you get messed up trying to trade whatever low time frame stuff, or like you're wrong on some rotation, you buy some altcoin and it goes down like 50% overnight because whatever, some random shit happened on chain. You still have your core portfolio. You're not like messed up on.
Yeah, trade with a cool head. That's really interesting. I think the $1 million question here is, are you in your core portfolio for another sort of Pico top parabolic event, or do you believe, like, are you here because you think that you're preempting another giant bubble, or do you believe that we're in this like 20-year mega trend where crypto slowly starts to eat value transfer as software is eating the world in other areas?
I think because of how small crypto is now, even if you assume on a longer time frame that we're in a slow uptrend, the repricing is going to happen quickly right now because of how small stuff is. Like, it's going to be a parabolic bubble just because of how tiny the market is and how easy it is for people to get access to it. So I'm still trading it in that way. I still think you're going to have a cycle top, and then stuff's going to go down like 70% or so after that top happens. But I do think if we get to, like, I've been saying like 6 trillion, if we get over like 6 trillion as a top for whatever this cycle, and then we stay in multi-trillion like total market cap as all of crypto, I think you're going to see the volatility dampen just because we're going to be a bigger market. And I think this is one of the last ones where we're still tiny. The Bernitsky's been saying 10 trillion. I'm like, dude, if we get 10 trillion, I'm like, yeah.
Well, there's your.
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, the next bubble is gonna. The thing is that people have now missed 2 cycles. If they haven't gotten to crypto, then there are a lot of people with a lot of money that if this thing starts ripping again, there's going to be a tremendous amount of FOMO. But it remains to be seen when that top is. I feel like a good way to we can send this off. Everybody goes around and gives the exact date of the next top.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down.
All right, I'll go first. I think the exact top is going to be January 21st, 2025.
I'm gonna say March 27th, 2025.
All right.
I'm gonna go a year later than you guys. I think it's coming in 26. Let's say I think it's March 2. So March 15th, 2026. Ides of March. You heard it here first. And the reason why is by then the United States government has just thrown in the fucking towel on even pretending that they've got an inflation anchor and a some way to pay back the debt. They're just going to start printing their way out of this. If there's one thing crypto does right for is your portfolio, it's that scenario.
Dude, you're literally giving us 2 full years of bull market. I don't know if my body can handle that.
Yeah, I can't. I was about to say I can't handle. I can't
actually
2 years of up, bro.
I remember.
Or the bull market just starts later, another year of hell, and then the up only. I don't know. I honestly, like, you guys have been in crypto way longer than me, so you probably have this like perception of crypto being this thing that just ramps or dies or chops around violently and murders people. But like, I don't know, having traded like pretty big asset classes, like things don't always work like that. Like you can have like fucking crude oil from 2020 to 2022 just ground up from negative $37 to $120 a barrel, like in a straight line. Right? That can happen. We might be in the middle of one of these long ass grinds, and who knows? So,
bro, that would be so frightening. If Bitcoin just steadily goes up to like 250K, can you imagine how many alt seasons we would have?
Dude, there'd be so many.
Oh my God. No, I would print, bro. That would be crazy. That'd be a new rotation every 3 months and Bitcoin just keeps going up. No, that's not even, that's ridiculous.
I actually think people would lose their minds. That would be max pain, because every 3 weeks people would be calling top, selling everything, and then lose all their money. Like everybody would be so down in terms of Bitcoin.
Well, if that's max pain, then that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, like even people are doing it now. Like the Bitcoin chart is just like, the daily is just up, but it's not like ripping up. It's just like higher, low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low. And everybody's like shaking, like panicking, like why is it not responding to stuff like going up?
Bitcoin has the product market fit. Bitcoin is real. Like every day more money goes into that thing, and the ETF is about to debottleneck some of those pipelines of money. I think you see sovereigns ape in, like El Salvador and Central African Republic, just keeps happening. And then that's a real use case. ETH has real use cases. Solana will probably, I wasn't really a believer in Solana until I got talked out of my stupor, and now it does seem like L1 will probably start shooting up some cool games and deep hit and all that stuff. And who knows? Maybe we end up with this just sort of vortex of inflows.
2026 would be crazy. I'm all for
linear growth for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Jonah's calling it now.
Yeah.
I didn't call that. I said the top is in then. Maybe we have a nasty path to that point, but I think we get a steady grind. I do. I believe it.
The reason I think the reason crypto goes parabolic in the way that it does is because this market is full of degenerates, dude. Like the people who trade these markets are willing to all in their net worth on these coins. That's why you have these parabolas, because I feel like in other markets, I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel like in other markets, you don't have people YOLOing like a very, very large percent of their net worth into like random shit. Maybe you do. Maybe retail is starting to do that now.
Just Tesla, GME back in the day.
Right.
But as an asset class, for sure. I mean, I don't know, Jonah. I don't think it's just all inning their net worth into oil at any given moment.
Yeah, no. I mean, like the market for naphtha or gasoline is just not something that your average retail person can trade or would care to trade. Meanwhile, crypto, like all my TradFi friends keep telling me like, they're mostly no coiners. They're like, oh, crypto is going to die after it saps all the money out of everybody's pockets. And it's like, you mean the entire world and their desire to gamble on a technological future? Like, no, sorry. Like, no, it's not going to happen. And if it does, like, probably buy Bitcoin. It's like bullish. That dystopian future is probably bullish Bitcoin. But I don't want to ramble here. This is about you, Ansem. Kind of want to ask you, maybe for the screenshot of this podcast, can you just move your head to be in the image underneath the crown behind you, the Basquiat crown, so we can get like a snapshot of you as the king?
This way.
Yeah. There we go. All right. That's it. Boom. Okay, we're good.
Let me clarify. I've said people are like all inning. Don't all in one thing. Please do not do that. That's why I said have your core positions and have your degen. But yeah, all inning stuff. Like I know people who have done it and like spun up whatever 100x, 200x. But when you don't have risk parameters like that and you continue to trade, like, oh, I'm all in this, I'm all in this, I'm all in this. Somewhere along that pathing is gonna wreck you. Eventually, it's gonna wreck you. And the thing is with crypto is like these markets are up only for months at a time sometimes. And when you're long into those up only, your confidence only continuously goes up. It's like, oh, I'm a genius. I'm super smart. I made this much money in 2 months. I've never made this much money in my life. I'm a genius. And that confidence will trick you into making trades with no considerations of risk at all. So that tricks a lot of people towards the end of bull markets is like, I made this much. I all in this and I all in this and I all in this. And then it's like you trip yourself up somewhere because you forgot at the beginning, you said, I was going to like take profit back into this. I was going to sell at these levels. I was going to like TP at this time. And you just forget and like commit yourself up. So that's why I say like journal a ton when you're trading because it's very easy to get lost on a daily basis of what your thinking was a few weeks prior or a few months prior. But if you journal, just open your book, turn a couple pages back. Oh, on March and November 21st, I said this. I said I was going to sell when it's 5x. Why am I not trying to sell that now and at 5x? Like what happened between that period and now? Like why is my mindset different? And it's usually because you're wrapped up in the market.
This is why you're good. You have discipline. Discipline is the number one characteristic of traders who make money consistently over time. And then I would say characteristic number 2 is people who can manage their emotions properly. But discipline, definitely number 1. Journaling, great point. Great way to maintain discipline, even in the craziness of crypto.
And it helps with both, discipline and emotional management for sure. Because I've always found that half of emotional management is just reminding yourself that you're feeling something at any given moment.
Yeah.
When you're in the moment, and things seem very easy. It's just having that reminder to stop and think, and that's half the battle right there. It's just stopping and thinking.
Yep.
So
No, for sure.
that's solid. Maybe we should get a reunion of what was the other the Untitled Crypto podcast together. We'll get
Yo, yeah, we do. We need to get Kobe back.
Yeah, dude, where is
Kobe? Like, wrote us off.
He's in a van somewhere. Still,
He's probably like traveling the world, dude. I have no idea. He was like, crypto Twitter is too negative. I'm going to do fun things. I'm sure that's what he's doing.
He's still on crypto Twitter, probably checking it every day.
Dude, honestly, I don't know how you do it. I gave up on crypto Twitter like a year ago at this point.
Dude, it's honestly, it's pretty bad. This year's been pretty bad. Like the amount of negativity just online this year has been nuts. And I get both sides of it because I get people DM me all the time like, bro, don't pay attention to those guys. Like, you've helped me do this, and this. Like, you made me this much or whatever. Like, you helped me think through this. But yeah, the timeline is just hella aggressive when you have a lot of followers on Twitter. It's a different experience. It's funny because like I tweet the same way I did when I had 1,000 followers. Like I literally tweet. I go out and I tweet like, "Oh, Z's drunk again." I was doing that when I had no followers on Twitter. my boys would be like, "Yo, dude, are you good? Like, what's up?" And then I tweet about crypto stuff. You're like, "Oh, Z's tweeting about crypto shit now." But yeah, dude, it's like when you have 100K followers, somebody's like, I don't know, has it out for you for some reason. Nobody cares when you're a tiny account.
There's somebody that's always going to get mad at you, no matter what you tweet.
Yeah,
like somebody will take it the wrong way.
It's a numbers game, honestly. That's how I think about it. It's a numbers game. It's like if you like tell 5 people something, probably a low chance that one of those people's gonna get angry at you. You tell 100,000 people something, there's a pretty high possibility somebody's gonna have a problem with what you said, especially if it's not like consensus. Everybody thinking.
Just don't put your address on your Twitter profile and you're good.
Facts. The thing is, people recognize me now. I walk outside, they're like, "Yo, Ansem."
Are you serious?
Like, what the fuck?
Whoa.
No, seriously. Happens in New York.
Do they call you? Is it like, "Hey, you're the Godfather. What's up? What's up, King?" Or is it more like, "Hey, what's Shiba Obama shitcoin gonna do this week?"
So the first thing, what they usually do is they pull up my profile picture and they come up to me and they show it to me. They're like, "Yo, are you dude from Twitter?" I'm like, "Yes, sweet." And then they just like start talking to me. And then of course at the end they're like, "Okay, what's the next coin I should buy?" What should I buy next?
Without fail.
Without fail. But yeah, it's been happening pretty consistently lately, like just in random spots in New York.
I think people in finance gatekeep trading a lot. Like this, you have to like the only successful trader, you have to go to Morgan Stanley and sit on a desk for 2 years, or that's how you learn how to really trade it. I don't think that's true at all in any way, shape, or form.
This is what I respect about you guys, both of you. Like I played the game and I went and wore the tie and sat at the desk and did that. It didn't like all it did was just pre-screen me to join what was ultimately the most ridiculous shitcoin casino of all time. Right. One thing that's great about crypto is it democratizes those markets. And then when there's a crypto crash, unlike in crude oil, you don't literally ruin entire economies. Right. It's gated. Like the impact is limited, but there's also a positive to it too, which is that it can create wealth, and it can also create an alternative to some of these rigged TradFi systems that are controlled by suspicious people. So I like that.
Yeah, and my cope is that it's actually taught a generation of individuals the power of second order thinking. Like, because you actually have to, if you want to be successful, I mean, there's so many people now that like, okay, how do I play this game? How do I think about this? How do I get better at this? What's the monetary incentive to get better at this? I mean, people are, I think, actually having to put some brain power into this, which is probably a good thing.
It's important. I think it's also like teaching, like finance wise, it's not like in crypto, obviously the risks are much higher, but like once you have that, like I think the process of managing your own money is going to shift way, way, way more back to the individual than away from like pushing that on other people to do it for you in like these next few years, like this next decade. one is because people are going to be forced to. It's like, okay, how do I be more efficient with like scaling up my savings? And then the other reason is I just think we're kind of shifting away from the trust in these like big corporate institutions back to like the individual, just like in a way. I think that's happening across different markets in different ways. If you can see it a little bit with like how marketing works now, there's a ton of marketing directly to these content creators. These people who have a ton of followers online do much, much better with marketing than these big companies do with their regular advertisements. It's like individual, I think, is a big narrative shift that's kind of happening.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think you're right. Managing your own money teaches you risk management techniques much more than just like offloading your dough to some robo manager will ever do. So yeah, I think crypto's financially educating a generation, and it's impressive for me having the opportunity to talk to you, Ansem, about what you're doing. When I was your age, I had years of white shoe banking experience, but I was a fucking horrendous trader in hindsight because I managed my own money. Meanwhile, like, you're miles ahead, you're disciplined, you're journaling. Like, these are things I learned to do in my 30s. So well done.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Crypto forces you to grow up fast because basically what happens is you just lose all your money, and then either you learn.
Facts. You get wrecked. You get wrecked a few times. You're like, fuck,
Yeah.
how do I stop getting wrecked? How do I stop this from happening?
Yeah, dude, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
I appreciate it.
It's fun. You got to get Kobe on next, dude.
Yeah. that would be an interesting one. Be like calling in using Starlink. Like,
oh no, he's like actually in space.
calling, it's like, are you in the IS? Why are you floating? All right, dude. Well, we got an hour to prep. We'll get back to the markets. Thank you all, for listening. This is one of the longer 1000X podcasts, so it was action packed though. So I hope you
long for a reason.
Yeah, not boring.
Thank you so much, Ansem. See, Avi, great talking to you as always.
Cool.